Episode 3. First, there was light. In Astrea's house. Astrea sat on a worn, old chair as though it were a throne, still proud but disfigured by time. Her features no longer resembled the youthful statue from the garden. Least recognizable was her gaze. The tenderness and warmth that the sculptor had so carefully captured were gone. Her eyes were empty and frighteningly detached. "Why are you here?" The Archangel struggled to find the right words. He looked at Astrea as if she was a miracle, as stunned as if he had never witnessed a miracle before. "Am I supposed to be in the ground?" Her cracked voice was filled with bitterness. "We thought you were dead."
He told you that, didn't he?"
Miguel gradually regained his composure. The initial shock was washed away by a flood of questions. Audrey could clearly sense that neither immortal was overjoyed by this meeting. "But we're on the same side, aren't we?" She vaguely remembered Cassiel's stories. Astrea was never portrayed as the villain in any of them.
"Shepard buried me alive. And as always, you believed his words."
The air in the cramped room grew heavier, more tense. Audrey tried to read Mikhail's reaction to what was happening, but nothing in his gaze gave her any answers. "If you have been alive all this time, where have you been hiding? Why did you stay here, where time is deadly to you? Why did you abandon those you were meant to protect?" Her tired face turned into a mask woven out of pain and contempt.
"This is my choice, and you don't know what you're talking about."
"Then tell me, Astrea. Because if you don't give me a valid reason, you will be judged for going against his will. Against your own purpose." Astrea pursed her lips more tightly. She raised her chin proudly and asked,
"Are you eager to send me to judgment as soon as possible? Should I be brief? Or do you have little time for me?"
Mikhail tolerated her tone. He answered coldly, "Tell me everything." Astrea turned away from her guess, and muttered into the wall. Her voice sounded hollow, lost, as if the mere memory brought her unbearable pain.
"I didn't abandon humans. I stayed with them until the very end."
For a moment, Audrey saw a faint shimmer of light tremble around the angel. The wrinkles on her face smoothed, barely noticeable, making her look years younger.
"They were thrown into this world as mere children. The world was cruel to them, and I protected them as best as I could. I guided them. I loved them so sincerely. And I believed that our love was mutual."
Mikhail shuddered. "Did you reveal your true nature to them?"
"I gave them everything I had. I recreated paradise on earth for them."
"And Shepa let you?" The name of the Creator sent a shiver through her body. When spoken aloud, Astrea closed her blind eyes.
"We are all his children, after all. We love to repeat his mistakes so much. They begged, and I couldn't refuse. At first they revered me. Then they feared me. And fear clouded their eyes. The golden age turned into the iron. People took up arms, turned against what they could not understand."
Tears swelled up in her eyes.
"Shepa warned me that growing close to humans was dangerous, unnatural. But I was created for them. My love for them was in my very blood. We are all blindly trust those we love.
She noticed the immortal's hands were trembling.
I was often afraid that I couldn't see the same light in them that existed in myself. As if we were made of different materials, but I pushed those thoughts away. They were all my children. How could I think ill of them?
Astrea. The Archangel's patience was waning as stern voice forced her to hurry up.
I was pure light, but they saw darkness in me. My last act of goodwill ended with them dragging me into the garden, throwing me at the feet of my own statue.
Audrey listened with every word. Her imagination painted the scene too vividly. She looked at it and was horrified, drove those images away. Look at it. Let's see what it gives us. The angry mob was afraid of her, but continued to advance. The fear was shared among them, dissolving as their thirst for blood multiplied and grew. They encouraged each other with cruel words. The men stepped forward, hiding their women behind them. Go back to where you came from. Astrea rose from her knees and reached out to them. They used to rest their tear-stained cheeks against her hands. Now, her own face glistened in the moonlight, reflecting the brackish trails of her own tears. I wish you no harm. Her sentence was cut short by a stone. The delicate skin of her lips cracked. Astrea did not wipe away the trickle of blood. She swallowed the salty clot and spoke again. I have used all the powers God has given me only for your sake. And I have never spent this gift on myself. Those who could not find stones picked up sticks. The garden, once a sanctuary of peace and silence, became a battlefield for those she loved most. The men bolstered their courage, but none of them dared to approach it. Astrea tried to reason with them once more. Do not fear my light. It will lead you to paradise on earth. Another stone struck her brow, drenching one eye with blood. She lifted her gaze to the sky. At last, she felt fear, too. What if her father descended to earth, killed all of her children, reduced them to dust with just a snap of his fingers? Astrea trembled and wrapped her arms around herself, and the gesture seemed so human to the crowd that their hands finally stopped shaking. For the first time, they saw the goddess as a woman, weak, pleading, frightened. The first to step forward was a man Astrea had once guided out of a forest on a winter's night, saving him from freezing to death. He remembered the light she radiated when she had appeared above him, like a star brought to life. Damned unholy creature, do you want to steal our souls? The first strike of the stick was immediately followed by a second. Then they rained down in a torrent. Fear evaporated and was replaced by exhilaration. Who would be the first to make her scream? Someone grabbed her by the hair and ripped out a clump of snow-white strands. Rough fingers yanked at the thin fabric of her dress. Astrea had longed to bare her soul to them. Now she stood before them, with her body naked as well. She no longer resembled a goddess. Naked, dirty, bloodied. She still didn't fully understand what the mob was capable of. The humans demanded blood, and none of it was enough. Sticks were tossed aside. Everyone wanted to touch the fallen being with their own hands. They wanted to feel what it was like to rise above a deity, to clutch a piece of divine flesh. While she still had her tongue, she pleaded. While she still had her eyes, she looked at the sky. While she still could think, she thought of humans. She hoped to the very end that they would come to their senses, that they would remember how she had cured their children of their illnesses, how she had saved them from famine, revived their crops, she had taught them faith and given them hope for a better future. She remembered how the first humans to see her wings had fallen to their knees and built so many statues in her honor. God has given us the strength to deal with this abomination. He is with us. He stands for us. Astrea forgot why she was here. Forgot who she was. She drowned in her own pain. And her humans, whom she had protected so fiercely, never remembered. The angel's torn wings were plucked, bloody feather by bloody feather, and scattered across the garden. Her mangled body no longer reacted to cruelty. And as it burned, the story of the angel who descended to earth burned away with it. The eyes of the crowd that gathered around the pyre no longer reflected the happy past they shared. Only their newfound freedom shone in them, the joy of their triumph over the gods.
They robbed me, not only of my tongue, not of my eyes or my wings, but they robbed me of the purpose for which I was born. They broke my heart.
In the heavy silence, Michaela was making a decision that was far from easy. Audrey knew that her story wouldn't move him. She realized that if his duty was truly required Astrea to return to heaven, he would do it. She suffered so much. Does she really deserve to be punished? She was warned. She meant well. I'm gonna go with that. If all immortals treated humans the way Astrea did, perhaps this world could be saved. No, I think that even if an angel walked among us right now and revealed themselves to us, they would do the same now as they did to Astrea in this. I'm talking about real life too, by the way, just in case you're wondering. The world is a very cruel, cold place right now. And it's only gonna get worse. Sadly. At last, Michaela's voice cut through the silence, but instead of a verdict, it posed a question. And, judging by the change in Astrea's expression, she would rather go to the scaffold than answer it. Is Malik your son? Her hands trembled even more. She didn't try to hide or state anymore.
Malik. So that's the name he gave himself.
Astrea! She flinched and responded too loudly, too desperately.
Son. I don't know what he is, but he wanted me to believe that he was.
What do you mean?
I bore a child by one who saved me, by the only being to reach out a hand to a dying angel. His hatred, rage, strength helped me piece my broken heart back together.
Michaela could barely contain his emotions. Do you even realize who you conceived with? Do you understand what kind of monster you've spawned? You, the one who carries pure light. Tears burst from her eyes.
Where were all of you when your pure light was dying? I screamed. I screamed so loud that I lost my voice. I begged Shepard not to punish the humans. I pleaded for mercy for the mortals who tore me apart, who abused my flesh. I prayed as long as I could move my lips, as long as I had a tongue I begged. As long as my consciousness was with me, I only thought of them. I was afraid for myself. I was afraid for humans. I was afraid that Shepard would come down and slaughter my poor children. That he would rage, avenge me, that he would save me. That he simply said that I was dead. He didn't even bother to look for me. He didn't seek vengeance, nor did he grieve. He just created my replacement.
Audrey didn't even notice herself stepping towards the broken woman. Gently, she crouched down in front of Astrea and lifted her tear-filled eyes. Forgive us. We are unworthy of your light. The darkness within us consumes it. Forgive us, Astrea, for we do not know what we do. No, we do have the ability to know, we just don't care. Astrea touched her hand softly. Her warmth reminded Audrey of her mother. Her hands were just as soft.
Child, I don't regret anything. So, Archangel, faithful warrior of Shepard, will you take me to him?
Miguel remained silent. Audrey took this as an opportunity. Should I speak up for Astrea? Yes. Are you serious? This is why I save diamonds for show like this, because it's actually meaningful. Audrey spoke up hesitantly. Mikkel, if anyone deserves a second chance, it's her. Haven't ignored her for so long. What difference does it make if it continues to do so? Astrea will remember your attempt to help her. She will be grateful to you. At first, the Archangel looked at her sternly, as if chastising her for trying to interfere with justice. And suddenly his gaze softened. He could not say when the mortal had begun to influence their lives so profoundly, why her quiet voice made him consider the possibility that there was something beyond duty. He was slightly uncertain, but he nodded nonetheless. In that barely perceptible movement, she read a silent promise to think about it. Thank you. In any case, Malik is dead. The consequence of your mistake is no longer a threat. The news brought her neither relief nor grief.
You cannot kill him. He watches you with the eyes of the dead. He follows you, dissolving into the shadows.
I pierced him with the spear of Longinus.
Did you see his corpse? If you want to kill him, I don't know how.
Miguel didn't push the matter. Instead, he steered the conversation to something far more pressing. Your real child, Astrea, has a book that was never meant for him. Where is it? Astrea immediately understood what he meant. Her already pale skin became even paler.
He has the book of the Apocalypse.
Where is he hiding it? She was shaken by the news and didn't answer right away. The realization of exactly what she had done and what it could lead to weighed heavily on her fragile shoulders. Mikhail gave her time to grasp the gravity of the consequences. Yeah, basically, she wanted to protect, the children of Earth, right? Mikhail's literally going to kill them all.
He often spent time around the dead.
Her voice trembled.
I tried to make him love humans. I really did. I told him all the stories I knew about people so different, so beautiful. I wanted to show him how precious every human life is.
Mikhail cut her off mid-sentence. Enough! Enough of your talk of the past! Where do we go? The immortal surrendered.
There's a cemetery not far from here. He often spent time there. Sometimes it seemed to me that he would listen to my words and then go there and listen to others. He would compare our words, accuse me of lying.
Mikhail didn't comfort her or rebuke her. For now, he chose not to pass any judgment at all. I will return to you at dawn. I'll give us both a night to think. She nodded resignedly.
So be it.
She didn't bid her guests farewell. She only followed them with a blind gaze, never moving. She remained frozen like a statue, awaiting their return. Some time later. The news that Astrea was alive was met with identical reactions from the demons. They both stared at Mikhail in stunned silence. When they learned the reason for her desertion, they didn't hold back their opinions. It's a shame the bastards who did that to her are long dead, but it's not too late to track down their descendants. Cassiel wasn't thinking about revenge. He was far more concerned with the decision their boss had yet to make. Are you going to hand her over to heaven, after everything she's been through? He ignored his question. Tomorrow morning we'll check the place Astrea mentioned. For now, get some rest. I've booked rooms for all of us. We'll go to the cemetery at dawn. After sorting out their keys, everyone made their way to the stairs. Already out of habit, David and Audrey slowed their pace and let the others go ahead. His warm hand immediately settled on her waist, and she moved closer to him. Enchanted by his warmth, she didn't immediately notice the key slipping from her fingers as if by magic. Mikhail assigned me to the lowest floor. Should I consider that special treatment? You could book another room. I'm sure this place isn't exactly in high demand. The key returned to her hand. I've already chosen one. Yours, room 302. You think they'll let you in? I really hope so. Otherwise, I'll have to sleep by the door. Mikhail will be in for a surprise when he finds you in the hallway. Audrey gently slipped out of his arms and walked ahead. The Astrians wished each other a good night and scattered to their rooms. Audrey didn't have the chance to get bored. Almost immediately, there was an insistent knock at her door. The guest turned out to be David with an armful of outfits. He unceremoniously tossed them all onto the bed without saying anything. What's this supposed to mean? I happened to pass by a charming little boutique while on Mikhail's assignment. That's right. You're absolutely stunning, even in the nun-like outfit. I'd even say there's something about it, something that brings out my demonic side. David. So, indulge yourself. Before he left, he whispered conspiratorially, do you think Mikhail is a heavy sleeper? The innuendo in his words was hard to interpret in any other way. Do you want to find out? I really do. She didn't respond to that, but the promising look she gave him was enough. I guess I'm going to have a visitor tonight. Audrey closed the door behind the demon, who was glowing with joy. She returned to the bed. All right, we'll see what he brought me. We got mercurial, sunny, mysterious, refined, radiant. Get everything. What is it? Why do I think of a woman riding a horse with that outfit? I like the mysterious one, though. Or find a Sherlock Holmes Radiant. Actually kind of nice. Why not? By the way, let me know what you guys thought of the voices that I did for Astrea and whatnot. She felt the urge to choose a hairstyle to match her new outfit. Did she, though? Mercury, Mars. Ooh. That's actually kind of nice. Jupiter's not bad. Oh, Uranus. Ha ha ha. Puns. Anyway. Oh. That's such an 80s hairstyle. Damn it. I hate that. I love the hairstyles, I do. Fine. We'll go with Uranus. I did like the butterfly one, though. It was the one we had. Perfect. The new outfits managed to briefly distract her from her heavy thoughts. But the moment she looked away from the mirror, Astrea's image surfaced in her mind again. I hope Mikkel leaves her alone. When the noise in the hotel corridors died down, there was a soft knock on the door. Audrey knew exactly who she wanted to see, and the playful demon didn't disappoint. Will you let me stay the night? She felt the urge to tease him for being so brazenly direct. So your room will be left empty then. Are you wasting Mikkel's money? David stepped into the room and smugly closed the door behind him. Has he ever paid you a salary? Because he sure hasn't paid me. As if you're in need of anything. I am. More than you think. I need you. The demon was advancing. It was getting harder and harder to resist his allure. Can we even keep quiet? His hand slid around her waist and pulled her closer. Are you planning on screaming loud enough for Somnus to hear? Depends on what you're going to do. David held her back as he lowered her onto the soft bed. He leaned over her, touched the soft skin of her earlobe with his lips. I'm going to love you all night. I'm going to fulfill all your desires. That's tempting. Why don't you cut to the chase then? Why don't you try and guess what I want? Why don't you cut to the chase then? Audrey scooted away from him and pulled her legs up. She climbed fully onto the bed. The demon smirked and followed her. You're right, little witch. Enough talk. His lips collided with hers, insistent, impatient. Their hands tangled as they stripped themselves and each other of unnecessary clothing. Their naked bodies intertwined so greedily as if trying to fuse to become one. He took her as many times as she wanted until dawn. Then he held her tightly against him and whispered sweet nothings in her ear until she gave up and closed her eyes. Their sleep was unbearably short, but exhausted and content, they had no regrets. The place where Malik had passed his time as a child had long fallen into decay. The overgrown trees stretched their gnarled branches across the ground, clawing through the thick fog. They scratched at the soil as if trying to reach their silent neighbors, to touch fingers long devoid of flesh. This place gives me goosebumps. This was where the other people's stories ended. Audrey vividly imagined a strange, eerie child wandering among the graves, reading the final lines of someone else's chapters. The most honest, the most revealing, the confessions. Her feet seemed to repeat his favorite path. A grave with the crumbling edges caught her attention. Moss carefully concealed its final message. She gently brushed the growth away. Our separation was brief, my light. I'm coming for you. The neighboring headstone read, "To my beloved husband." Wind stirred the treetops and nudged her forward. What was Malik looking for here? What stories did he listen to? Audrey scanned the area. Her gaze fell on several other gravestones. They radiated a special kind of sorrow, as if the stones themselves had absorbed human suffering. An inappropriate anticipation tickled her insides. I should take a closer look at... Well, let's just go down the list, I guess. I'm assuming the last grave is the last choice. Faint lighters on the worn marble red. It's not scary anymore. You can't crash twice. Audrey pictured a cliff's edge. She felt an encouraging breeze on her skin. Second one. A peculiar message was scratched into the old limestone. If the border exists, take a step back and return to us. Next to the grave were others lined in a row, a loving wife, and then all the children, but no dates of death were engraved on them. Were they buried elsewhere? I hope they still found each other on the other side. Third one. The expensive marble tombstone read, "You saw too many nightmares, but never managed to wake up." The years of life carved beneath the sentence gave the words a grim weight. She was only 14. Last one. A gray headstone was almost completely buried under the tall grass. Audrey pushed the damp greenery aside. The dawn never brought you light. You chose the lake of fire. These are all weird inscriptions on these tombstones, I'm not gonna lie. The inscription made her think. The lake of fire? It's like all of these are like cursed. I'm serious. Led by an odd feeling, Audrey drifted away from her companions. She kept them in sight as she moved towards a small stone crypt. If I had found this place as a child, I would have definitely been drawn to it. A place to hide from everyone, to find shelter like a home. A rusty door was secured with an equally aged lock. Audrey yanked it downward, drawing attention to herself and her discovery with a clatter. The rest of the group slowly gathered around her. Whose crypt is this? He looked around. There were no inscriptions on the walls, no plaque at their feet. Maybe no one ever came to occupy it? Well, it's clear they didn't bury wealthy nobles here. The cemetery is in trouble. They're terrible condition. I doubt there was ever a caretaker. No fence, no guard. Miguel stopped next to Audrey and asked calmly, "Did you figure out who was buried here?" It looks like this is the resting place of local residents, Malik's victims, those who died by giving up. The Archangel nodded. I wonder why Malik was drawn to these particular graves. Because of their unique, dramatic stories? A curious thought swirled in her mind. Could he hear the voices of the dead? If so, that would explain why he's like this. Good point. David glanced at Cassiel. Like what? Special. The guess seemed incredibly important to Audrey. An interesting thought, it might be worth revisiting. Mikhail broke the lock in one casual motion, tossed it aside. He turned to Audrey again. Why did you approach this specific crypt? It was difficult to explain the instinct. The only thing Audrey was sure of was that she definitely felt it. It was like it was calling to me, like it's what happened with the siren in the grotto. An inexplicable attraction. The men exchanged glances. What do you think, Mikhail? I think we should trust your intuition. One way or another, Audrey is connected to the beast. It was within her. The kind of connection wouldn't just vanish with the nightmares that Somnus took away from her. It runs much deeper. Am I drawn to it? Perhaps you're subconsciously trying to reach it. Or maybe it's the one that's drawing you closer. Either way, you're highly attuned to anything that carries its trace. Its trace or its son's. Audrey focused on the barely perceptible stirring inside of her. No other structures in the cemetery made her feel this way. So, we're going in? Cassiel grabbed the rusty bars and forced the door open with a screech and peered inside. It was a soft semi-darkness in this final resting place. The demons stepped into it without hesitation. One by one, small torches along the walls flickered to life. They illuminated the silent inhabitants of the modest crypt. Audrey went inside after Mikkel. The thick, suffocating scent mixed with the fresh air that rushed into the crypt with the wind. Dust rose from the floor, cobwebs fluttered. The immortals slowly made their way around the cramped space. They cracked open the coffins, looked at the bones that had nearly crumbled to dust. Looks like the search is coming to an end. Audrey closed her eyes. She tried to separate her own feelings from those imposed by something else. A slight excitement coiled in her chest, shifting like a nest of snakes. You shouldn't be looking for it yourself. She opened her eyes. Mikkel was only one step away. He burned her with a stern, icy stare. It could be dangerous. The snakes by her heart refused to be still. There's something here, I'm sure of it. She retraced her colleague's steps. She moved slowly around the room. She stopped near a hatch, wondering why it had been ignored. Did they not see it? What's down there? The confusion on their faces suggested they could not see it. What are you talking about, little witch? Audrey crouched down and pulled on the heavy metal ring. To her surprise, it opened quite easily to reveal a gaping black void beneath. Where does this lead? Cassiel approached her and stepped directly into the dark space, but nothing happened. It did not swallow him. What the hell? Reach inside. Am I the only one who can see the hatch? Drop something inside. You can hide objects, can't you? Clearly she's the only one who can see it, so... Because it looks like that's exactly what's happening. I can see the hatch clearly. You're standing right on it. Miguel stayed where he was. He watched as the demons attempt to see or sense what Audrey was talking about. Audrey stepped aside so as not to be in their way. For some reason, you're the only one who can see the entrance to the underground. Do you think it's because I'm human? Or because you're connected to the beast? Cassiel frowned, quickly catching on to what this could mean. We can't let her go down there alone. I don't like this idea at all. If we need a mortal or someone connected to the beast to test your theory, we can arrange that. The hotel receptionist looks like a human who could be persuaded to help us. I don't think an ordinary human would do. And we don't have time to track down the surviving followers of our enemy. The Archangel made his point quietly but adamantly. The crypt fell silent as they all considered the situation. I'll go down. Audrey said it so simply and firmly that she surprised herself with her own resolve. I don't understand why you all look so defeated. The fact that I can see this hatch is a great stroke of luck. We could have missed it entirely. The Immortal's eyes held concern for her, but their pride and her bravery overshadowed it. You do realize that we won't be able to follow you, right? If I sense danger, I'll come back immediately. I have to admit, I'm impressed by your courage, but I'd still rather send down a random passerby. David. What are we even talking about? I'm not letting her go in there. The sharpness in his voice made everyone fall silent. This isn't about me at all. You said that you had to let go of the past, Cassiel, that it wouldn't interfere with your work. We're all at risk here, and unlike her, we know exactly what we're getting into. That's exactly the point. We know she doesn't. Audrey, anything could be waiting for you down there. His concern sounded unhealthy. She tried to lighten his mood. As long as there aren't any bats or flying foxes down there, I'll be fine. At first, he couldn't believe she was actually joking, but then he suddenly grabbed her arm. This isn't funny. My sister was just like you. Reckless. Desperate. She was doing her duty. David tried to pull Cassiel away, but he leaned in closer. Look at what could be waiting for you down there. Look into my eyes. Warning. Do I want to see this? Sure, why not? Let's go. Bring it on. Bring down your hellfire. The stone of the crypt disappeared. Now the walls and the floor were made of tiles. Well, this will be fun. Let's go. The room was bisected by a red line. It was completely empty. Aviel tried to figure out where the strange indentations across one side of the room led. Someday heaven will stop speaking in riddles, and we will begin to understand exactly what it is we're looking for. Maybe they don't even know. Does this place look like the lair of the beast to you? She shook her head grimly. Nothing about this place even remotely gives off the impression that a new religion is taking root. This looks more like a hospital or a lab. Maybe we should ask Fel what this building is to be. Avila paced near the wall. Cassiel stood by the entrance and watched her. Even if it was a hospital, so what? You can worship an evil in an open field. It doesn't matter what was here before. Their discussion was cut short by a noise in the corridor leading to the room. Cassiel pressed a finger to his lips, signaling for his sister to stay silent. But he didn't have time to move towards the door before the source of the noise burst into the room. Oh. Okay. Who the hell are you? His demonic form signaled immense power. Cassiel immediately drew his sword. He knew that this form was not chosen for a pleasant conversation. Stay where you are. Predictably, the demon didn't listen. He advanced threateningly. The weapon materialized in his hands, forged from the flames erupting from his body. Did you come here to die? The enemy handled his scythe effortlessly and gracefully, like it was a rapier. But Cassiel was just as skilled. Still clashed again and again, sending sparks flying. Avila flew next to it, trying to attack their opponent from behind, but she was too slow. Unlike her brother, she was good at espionage, not combat. The demon spun, he sliced through the air with his scythe like a whip, swiftly with a whistling sound. Cassiel managed to dodge. Avila didn't. The blade slashed across her shoulder, blood ran down her exposed skin. Avila, get back! Avila hissed from the pain. The realization of her own foolish mistake, she flew back against the wall. Cassiel's strikes grew harder. His vision blurred with the sight of his sister's blood. He focused on the single target. You shouldn't have touched her. Strength surged through him. His power multiplied 100-fold. Now was the enemy's blood that was spilled. His sword cut deep into the opponent's throat. The demon wheezed. No, you shouldn't have come here. The dying demon's eyes flashed white, then a translucent green barrier split the room in two. Cassio lunged for his sister, who was now separated from him, but the barrier was surprisingly sturdy. Cass! Another transparent wall lowered, and then another, and another. Then thick, bright green smoke poured in from the ceiling. They both looked up in confusion. Avila had enough time to think about how beautifully the mist drifted above her head, how its color reminded her of the plants in her garden. But the moment the smoke settled on the crown of her head, all thoughts vanished. A wild, gut-wrenching scream filled the room. She thrashed in place, throwing her arms up as if trying to shake off an invisible enemy. But the more she moved, the faster her body was coated in the toxic film. Cassio slammed against the glass so violently that his own skin was instantly torn and bruised. Her hands, her face, her neck turned bloody red. Cassio shattered the first glass barrier. Shards drenched in poison cut into his skin, but he ignored them. He pushed forward, driving the jagged edges deeper into his flesh. Stubbornly, he moved towards her. No, no, no! She was no longer screaming. She wailed softly, reaching not for her brother, but for the exit. The cloud had already settled on the floor, and her venom-covered skin slid down with it. Okay. Cassio reached his sister when all that was left of her were bones. He clutched them and stared uncomprehendingly. He couldn't believe that just seconds ago she had been alive. That she was the one he was the one who had told her to step away, right where death awaited her. Guilt, grief, still eating him from inside. Audrey tried to push the horrible vision away. Cassio pulled her back to reality. Cassio is grateful to share with you this pain. Your relationship has improved. I'm so sorry, Cassio. He's afraid history will repeat itself with me. Audrey spoke slowly. She forced herself to keep her own anxiety out of her voice. But I'm not your sister. We don't live our lives according to someone else's script. Even if he understood that, he couldn't pull himself together. Her words imprinted a pained grimace on his face. They had immortality. Cassio probably never even considered the possibility of Avila's death. How painful it must be to lose someone who was supposed to be there forever. Of all the ways she could respond, she chose to shift his focus. Listen, I don't know what's waiting for me down there. No one does. But right now I need your help. You understand? I need you to be there for me when I go down. I will tie a rope around myself and you can pull me out at any time. I'm afraid we don't have any other choice, Cass. The realization that he was actually needed brought the demon to his senses. He nodded hesitantly. Audrey cleared her throat to draw their attention. I'm ready. They found everything they needed surprisingly quickly. David even managed to find a small pocket knife along with the rope. Knife, take it. It's heavy. I hope I won't need it. She tucked the weapon away, a little uncertainly. There was no time to calm her pounding heart. David tied the rope around her. He double-checked the knots a dozen times, running his hands over her body each time. When his fingers tickled her thighs yet again, Andre couldn't help but whisper in his ear, "Are you seducing me, or are you really that worried?" He pressed his lips together nervously and replied, "I don't even know, Audrey. Are you sure it's not too tight anywhere?" She caught his hands. "It's perfect. You'll be able to pull me up easily and comfortably." He hoped he wouldn't have to pull her up at all. Or better yet, that she wouldn't go down in the first place. Audrey didn't want to prolong the dramatic moment. She walked confidently to the hatch. She sat down on the icy floor, then lowered her legs into the cool, damp air. They're all risking their lives fighting on the front lines. I have to be strong too. I have to do everything I can. The first step was the hardest. Doubt held her in place for so long. The second was easier. On the third, an insistent voice pulled her from her thoughts. Audrey, talk to us. The ground beneath her feet was soft, like damp soil clinging to her soles. She took a breath of the icy air and began to speak. What? Hi, Cliffhanger. How are you? I'm gonna go with 4 on that one. 3 faith, 0 skepticism, 2 reputation, and oh look, diamonds. Alright, so without further ado, thank you all for watching. Please make sure that if you did enjoy, to like the video. Leave a comment down below letting me know your thoughts. Also, I did ask that one question at the beginning of the video, so let me know about that as well, and make sure to subscribe, because, you know, that way you don't miss out on content, especially if you hit that little bell icon. Anyway, again, we're catching up. We've already caught up with, and done the new book. We finished, it's easier just to show you. Time Catcher, right? So we're working our way to doing the other things, and yep, trying to play catch up. Remember, the update will not happen for at least a month to a month and a week. So keep that in mind. So I'm trying to get on top of this stuff, stay on top of it, play catch up. So do keep that in mind. So your support is greatly appreciated. Again, check out Time Capture, check out TMO, figuring those are the new things or updated, and those are already up on the channel. So otherwise, thanks for watching. Love your beautiful faces. Catch you all later. Peace out.